watching Morning at NTV.
Good morning. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilaodara. Now today on the Kickstarter segment, we'll be trying to look at the current security status in the country, of course, in light of what happened over the weekend on Saturday evening at around 8-9 p.m. when we got news of the assassination of the former DPC of Buyende, Mr. Muhammad Kirumira, alongside a female companion. He was driving from apparently, an event, and then when he was approaching his home, now of course the assassins shot him dead together with this particular female, companion. Of course, at the beginning, police thought that this was the wife, Madam Mariam Kirumira, but thereafter they confirmed that the wife was still alive, the wife was not with him, and that the lady in question was actually Resti Nalinya. Now, Mr. Kirumira was laid to rest yesterday in Pambira in Mpigi, his ancestral home, and today we'll be expecting Madam Resti Nalinya to be laid to rest as well. Now, today in studios, we have a security analyst, a security detective and investigator, and he is also a former police officer, Mr. Fred Egesa, just to help us unravel the current security status in the country. Thank you so much for making time, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, of course, we'll start with bites of what the utterances of Mr. Muhammad Kirumira when he was still alive. Let's maybe start with that because it will inform our discussion. Let's take a look.
Expose the mafia to save the state. When you speak, you die. When you keep quiet, you die. Better speak and die when the message has reached the people. I act as a messiah. So my communication to the killers who hold guns is that killing me now is useless. Because as a messiah, I have fulfilled my objective of communicating to society. If the police is very incompetent, to the extent that you can promote a person whose record is a criminal, then you people, you deserve to be changed. Me, I'm ready to suffer any amount of charges. This is my home. This place is called Bulenga B, Gogonya, Sumbwe Parish, Wakiso Sub-County, Wakiso District. I'm not shifting. I have a black gate. On the left, if correcting the image of the police requires some of us to be sacrificed, my burial place is in Mpigi, Mpambire. That is where people can pick my body and take it.
Detective Egesa, we've heard what Muhammad Kirumira had to say when he was still alive. Would you say that this would be a basic front for investigations?
Of course. If you look at Kirumira, you have to analyze his whole life. He has not been that antagonistic person. He has not been that person maybe who is fighting over land, who has issues with the general public. I think his main stint and struggle has been around the police formation, the police behavior, the police, the institution of the police. So definitely, I think a wise investigator will put much of his attention at that, or not forgetting other minor issues that could also be personal. Yes.
When you say minor issues that could be personal?
Yeah, in life as we move, we fight over land, we fight over several other issues, we clash, people hate us for one reason or the other. They could, in a family may have someone who dislikes you.
Right.
These are the minor issues. But what I'm saying is, if I were to investigate, I would put my major focus on what Kirumira was and what he was for. Besides, alongside his work-related programs.
To get to the motive of murder.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. We also saw over the weekend when he was, gunned down by these particular assassins together with his, female companion, Madam Resti Nalinya. We saw that the police, the other issue that also came to the fore is the police response. And yesterday, during the presidential address, he actually pointed out to this factor. He said when he got to the scene of crime, he went to the nearby, police station to ask them why they didn't, act fast. And so the lady the police officer who was on duty on that day said that they didn't hear the gunshots. And so it was until someone called them that they came to the scene of crime. What do you make of such delays by police when it comes to such crimes being committed in the city?
Yeah, I've always said that when the police training and the professionalization was backtracked for several years, there was that kind of a situation of decay. You know, in the mind, operationally, how they correct their own mistakes. So you cannot change that in a minute. That cannot be changed in a minute. So we still have a situation where the police has to be helped to understand their duties. Because the people who are in office, I think they are trying because of maybe of the new setups here and there. But you cannot expect them to do this overnight. The new police, like Uchola, has just come in a few months, maybe less than 6 months. He inherited a police that had been serious, that had kind of got lost track, and there is that kind of situation. What I see with the police, there is a huge. Listen, I was talking. I think I did write a letter to the director of CID, and I was telling her, listen. If you maybe there is a wrong a police has done something wrong a police officer has done, and you just cut away the file without punishing him, without rebuking him, without holding him to account, then you are not changing so much. It will be a situation that if I cannot carry, since they have carried the file, okay, but there are areas where you see that a police officer is negligent, the areas where you see that a police officer does not know, and there are areas where you see that the police officer is corrupt. So if he's negligent, if he doesn't know, you help him to understand as his superior. If he has been negligent, you punish him. If he has been corrupt, you still punish him. So that's how you can pull a force like police to account for whatever they do with the public. And what is very surprising is, you know, police is the hand that touches the public. It is the government, the hand that touches the public. So if the hand touches the public poorly, the people will perceive the government as a bad government. It's a very unfortunate when I saw people attacking Kaima. Kaima is a nice guy. But of course, people would look at him as an image of a dysfunctional system of policing.
Correct.
I know we're trying to, there is a lot of change now, which we should appreciate. But at the same time, maybe we should do more. You know, people react like that because even as they're in their police posts, they are sometimes mistreated. The cases are poorly poorly investigated. The poor don't get justice. So wherever they get time and chance to come out against the police, that's what happens, and we have to deal with it.
So what you're saying is there's dire need for police reforms.
Yes, police has to reform because people have not, even if we're talking about career and here and things like that, but we have not seen police. Maybe they're trying to change, but at a very, very the speed is so the speed is so low that we cannot feel it. We just want to feel a situation whereby you go to police, a policeman plays around with you, you complain, and something is done about it.
Right.
Yes.
Yesterday when the president was giving his address, he actually pointed out to the same factor. He said that when he visited this particular police station and found this lady police who was on duty, he was actually tempted to, you know, punish her for the delays that they, you know, made with regards to them addressing that particular crime. And so would you say that it would be rightful for the president to still move ahead and punish this lady? Because what he was saying is the explanation from the lady's side is that apparently there is another church close by that, you know, emits a lot of sound into the air, and that's why she was not able to, you know, hear the gunshots. And also, in her defense, she said that between the scene of crime and the police station, it's about 1.5 kilometers. So is that enough reason for not responding to that crime instantly? I
think with an SMG, really, it is very easy for you to kind of pick. But the problem is, how have we trained these police officers? Have we put them on high alert, or they're just there? You find, you know, are they capable of understanding the situation the state is in now? Right. That's a question. We have to let the president understand that the people he's trying to coerce to do things, they are never trained to do it. They're never trained to be alert. They're never trained to be responsible. So that should be another course with the police now, that they are told to be responsible, they are told to be active, and they're told to be alert. Yes. Otherwise, we will punish them, push them wherever, but we will only replace them with the weakest. Yes.
Still staying on the scene of crime, we also saw the president, go there, and it's not the first time he's going at the scene of crime. Even during the assassination of Ibrahim Abiriga, the late, he also visited the scene of crime. So as an investigator, would you say that a president of a country visiting the scene of crime would compromise investigations? What's your take?
I know once a much more senior officer comes to the scene, then he takes over the investigations. So as far as as far as I'm concerned now, His Excellency is in charge of investigations because he took it over. So ordinarily, I would understand that. Yeah, but he's a Ugandan, and of course he lost. I know Kirumira used not to speak possible against the state. He was very objective. He was very focused on a unit, on a particular situation of the police. So I think that I'm sure that the president myself also felt bad to lose Kirumira because he thought that because I remember at one time Honorable Mutafira was thanking Kirumira for coming up with some information. Yes, but then what I'm saying is that let the president open up. To me, it's like His Excellency is serious like a cocooned by people who possibly even mislead him or who possibly shield him from the people. That's why I say that people tend now to react as if he's not their own because they don't touch him, they don't feel him. So he should work around that so that the general public feels him. The people who want to have information can reach him. Those who believe that they are maybe being mistreated, they touch him. Otherwise, if he's cocooned, he will not know, and by the time he comes in, he will be seeing surprises every other time. Yes.
Yesterday also, of course, after this particular crime took place, we saw the president coming out so strongly in his statement saying that right now the government will be forced to, engage and employ the Luero method of fighting crime. What do you make of this, and what is this Luero method of fighting crime?
Yeah, of course, in Ruero we had the bush, there are so many other dynamics in the Ruero situation. We're dealing, that was a kind of forest, rural fighting. Here we are talking about urban insurgency, urban terrorism, urban confusion and crime. So I think the president should be advised on using the public, giving the public confidence on how they should gather information and disseminate it to government. Who should we talk to? Who should the government, who should the people talk to? As long as, because in Ruero, every people were one. There was no discrimination. The president was never cocooned. The president was a free person. So any sin could be punished. I heard of a man who stole off the tail of a sheep and was punished because sin was punished, corruption was punished. It is not like we have today. It's like the corrupt have the day. It is like the thieves have the day.
True.
So like those who are robbing from contracts, who are robbing from roads, who are robbing from who are taking whatever they have to take are never punished. I heard about a judgment when they are concerning this road. Is it this Mukono Road, Mukono somewhere road,
yes,
where the judge came out outright and said, yes, you are punished for this, but because the money which was stolen was not quantified, I cannot order for the refund. You can imagine. So these people are charged on what? They are sentenced on what?
Correct.
Yeah? If you cannot quantify the amount, you cannot form a charge. Because if you say Gesa has stolen 10 million shillings, the figure should be known. He would have said, okay, since the money has not been quantified, audit the money, I'll order that it is refunded. But he said he's not ordering. So the government has lost that money because maybe the judge did not look at things the right way. So that's the Uganda we have today.
That's the Uganda we have today. Now, of course, yesterday still during the State of the Nation address, we saw the president coming out to say that moving forward, just as a tactic to fight urban crime, he will be able to ensure that his government deploys over 24,000 local defense units in the country. As a security analyst, will this help us in this current crisis?
I've always said, and I'll say it again, deployment involves cash, involves corruption, involves a lot of things. I've sometimes advised government to use systems like the Ujama systems, where a person is alert wherever he is. There is no need for even deployment. Once you talk about deployment in Uganda, you are inviting other situations of ghost workers, of non-payment, of people leaving other productive jobs to parade themselves as 24 hours security personnel. So in the process, the president, I know, has the wishes all the best for this country, but it should be advised. That type of system will not work, because we don't have the capacity, we don't have the time, we don't have the means to monitor. Why shouldn't we use a system like other countries, like the Ujama system, whereby where I am is where I pick intelligence, then dissemination becomes easy. I mean, the government only puts a situation of dissemination, where how the flow of information back to government for action. But as long as we are going to deploy and give more guns, we are only worsening this situation.
Right.
Yes.
And actually he said that this particular deployment will cost the country 57 billion Uganda shillings. So like you're saying, in terms of resources, it will also, you know, pull and pinch hard in the pockets of the taxpayer. Now, let's also move on to these particular investigations that are still underway. What would you say, as an investigator, what would you say are the winning leads in this particular investigation? We know for a fact that when this particular crime happened, we also saw motorcyclists, the border riders in that particular area, trying to chase after, you know, the assassins. But because the assassins had guns, now they shot in the air and they were able to disperse this particular motorcyclist. So in terms of investigations, in terms of leads, what would you say would be the winning pointers?
Of course, the government now knows the gun that was used. They possibly could have looked at the pattern of shooting and relate it with other shootings. This is, of course, besides that, the government should have capacity to pull the ears down to the ground, because there is a lot of information on the ground which the government has not bothered to harvest because of the bad blood that is coming out between the general public, the poor person, and the government. So the government has to seal that to get that information, because the information is there. People know a lot, but how do they trust? Whom do they trust? I think this goes back to a situation whereby His Excellency should think of seriously building out systems. Where there are no systems, where the systems are a bit manipulatable, you will find a situation that you lose so much, and in the process you work in isolation. So the president now works in isolation because to a certain extent, maybe even those who have ringed him around, who tell him a lot of things here and there, maybe they don't sometimes tell him the real facts about life. So there is a distance now which is being created between the state and the common person. So if all the planning, all the crime is being done around the common person, the state will never easily get information. So there should be a seal in between there. There should be a code that links the very poorest, the lowest, to the highest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at the means of transport that these assassins normally use. In all these cases, in all these murders, from Kawesi to Abiriga to, you know, just Kirumira, and also different citizens in the country, most of these crimes, most of these assassins use motorcycles to commit these crimes. Now, moving forward, as a security expert, what would be the best strategy moving forward of, you know, just mitigating this? Because we now know for a fact assassins take advantage of the speed of the motorcycles in terms of efficiency, in terms of actually the ability of a motorcycle to maneuver different shortcuts real fast. So moving forward, what would be the ideal strategy just to ensure that we also have security on that front on people who use motorcycles?
When you look at the motorcycle industry, I've always quoted the case of Nigeria, where the Okada, what they call the Okada economy, that created lots of kidnaps and which possibly the state has even failed to sort out. Borders were a very useful industry because they employ so many people. Each border you see in Kampala possibly feeds another 6 people.
Correct.
But I think they have been they have been messed up. But the borders have been messed up. But the borders would be a very good source of information. They'd be a very good source of possibly informally supporting security. But I think they have been misused instead of we have not created a think tank to plan for the borders, but we have kind of ripped from them now and again. There are times when the president has said, please make sure, like if someone is knocked and the president says control borders, now several traffic officers take it like kind of a rip. They grab all of them at will as they fall down and things like that. Then whoever maybe has to take his, pays another 10,000 shillings, 100,000 shillings. Yeah, this border possibly is also a hired one. Now, in that mess, it is very easy for borders to form, to become criminals, or to conceal crime, or to deal with a situation that will possibly have issues. Now, with the borders in several countries, they don't even care so much if you have a driving permit or not, but they say control speed. That is the catchword, control speed. Meaning that if you see a border over speeding, you get suspicious. If you see, it is a simple thing, just say control speed. We don't even bother about driving permits.
And
if a border is moving at 30 kilometers per hour, whether he landed yesterday, he may not crash. So you'll handle accidents, you'll handle situations where crime has come in, you'll also deal with the speed at which a particular border goes. Meaning that if it goes very fast, it can be singled out. Yes, it's a very simple matter. But we are just, maybe the security planners should come up. There should be a situation where people sit with the formers and we digress. We deeply think about these situations. But here's the situation. Everything, you find a single head is doing it. A single head is doing it. Now, we don't do research about this. But it's very, very simple to handle. Because borders, almost every border has been killed by by people on the border. And you say, they speed off. Now, how do we single out a border speeding off from a border that is carrying me or you?
So what you're saying is installation of CCTV cameras, and also yesterday evening we saw, a directive from the security agencies, the police, saying that all sport motorbikes need to be registered, and all this registration drive will actually start today all the way to the 16th of this month. Now, what ideally you're saying is, if we have this, in place, all these motorcycles registered, we have CCTV cameras in place, then without mitigating the speed of these motorbikes, then you're still saying we will not be able to address the situation at 100%?
Not at all, not at all. Think of a situation that, one, part of the dressing of a biker is a headgear.
Correct.
Now, whether he's registered or not, and two, if someone is, you should understand the criminal mind. If someone is going to commit an offense, he cannot carry his own bike. He cannot carry his own number plate. He'll manipulate. He'll change. He'll kind of change face, and he has an advantage of a helmet. Now, whether you have registered and you have all the numbers, he'll still do something. He can even do other things.
Right.
Why do you talk about a speed bike? Because it moves very fast. Now, how many borders, other than even the shootouts, how many people are killed by borders every day?
Countless.
So many. Because of what? Speed. Can we deal with speed? We'll sort out a lot of things.
Deal with speed, we'll sort out a lot of
yeah.
things. Okay, sir. Of course, we know that the government is still, putting in place the CCTV cameras. So if they are to work and actually perform the task, what then should the security operators and agencies put in place to ensure that we don't lose money at the end of the day? It's not just a heavily expensive project, but at the end of the day we end up benefiting from it. What are these snippets that the government needs to be very keen on?
Of course, cameras are a good starting point for modern security, but at the same time we are talking about people who will be handling the cameras. If they may be the sleeper ones, they may be the corrupt ones, so that because if someone is corrupt, the camera is handled by a person. Now you'll find erasures. By the time you go there, say, but what happened? No, at that time there was a thunderstorm and the camera by coincidence, as the robber was passing, also thunderstorm did the system and things like that. So we should talk about very, very well trusted, well paid personnel.
Well paid.
Well, yes, well paid personnel. Should also talk about a policing that is accountable to its own people, meaning that deep inside the police, there should be a kind of a counterintelligence. I've not seen Ochola kind of switching on serious counterintelligence, but let him do that. We need it now. We need the policemen to be counter-followed, counter-investigated on whatever they do, because they carry our guns and they keep our lives. Yes.
Intelligence, and also prior intelligence to everything is paramount.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Egesa. Thank you so much for coming in studios. Senior detective, investigator, security analyst, right there, just helping us understand the current security situation in the country. That has been it for Kickstarter. Morning at 10 TV still continues. On the Ground is up next.